I shall add here to the functions previously discussed one that shows with particular clarity how the abstract character of money is transposed into practical reality. The unlimited possibilities for the utilization of money. I noted earlier that the representation and provision of means does not always depend upon an already formed purpose. The availability of materials and forces often provokes us to form certain purposes which these means will enable us to attain. Once a purpose has engendered the idea of means, the means may produce the conception of a purpose. This relationship, frequently modified but enduring, may be seen in the case of tools, which I characterized as the purest kind of means. While ordinary, simple means are entirely used up in achieving the purpose, a tool continues to exist apart from its particular application and is capable of a variety of other uses that cannot be foreseen. This is true not only for thousands of cases in daily life that need not be exemplified, but also in much more complicated situations. How often are military organizations, which were intended for external deployment, used by a dynasty for internal political ends? How often does a relationship among individuals which was originally established for a particular purpose grow beyond this and become the bearer of altogether different contents, with the result that one may say of all enduring human associations, familial, economic, religious, political, or social, that they have a tendency to acquire purposes for which they were not originally conceived? It is obvious that a tool will be more significant and valuable, ceteris paribus, if it has various and extensive uses. At the same time, it must then become more neutral and colorless, more objective in relation to particular interests and more remote from any specific purpose. Money as the means par excellence fulfills this condition perfectly. From this point of view its importance is enhanced. The matter can be put as follows. The value of a given quantity of money exceeds the value of the particular object for which it is exchanged, because it makes possible the choice of any other object in an unlimited area. Of course, the money can be used ultimately only for one of the objects, but the choice that it offers is a bonus which increases its value. Since money is not related at all to a specific purpose, it acquires a relation to the totality of purposes. Money is the tool that has the greatest possible number of unpredictable uses and so possesses the maximum value attainable in this respect. The mere possibility of unlimited uses that money has, or represents, on account of its lack of any content of its own, is manifested in a positive way by the restlessness of money, by its urge to be used, so to speak. As in the case of languages such as French, which have a limited vocabulary, the need to employ the same expression for different things makes possible a wealth of allusions, references, and psychological overtones, and one might almost say that their wealth results from their poverty, so the absence of any inner significance of money engenders the abundance of its practical uses, and indeed provides the impulse to fill its infinite conceptual categories with new formations, to give new content to its form, because it is never a conclusion but only a transitional point for each content. In the last analysis, the whole vast range of commodities can only be exchanged for one value, namely money, but money can be exchanged for any one of the range of commodities. By contrast with labor, which can rarely change its application, and the less easily the more specialized it is, capital in the form of money can almost always be transferred from one use to another, at worst with a loss, but often with a gain. The worker can hardly ever extricate his art and skill from his trade and invest it somewhere else. By comparison with the owner of money he is at a disadvantage so far as free choice is concerned, just as the merchant is. Thus, the value of a given amount of money is equal to the value of any object for which it might be exchanged, plus the value of free choice between innumerable other objects. And this is an asset that has no analogy in the area of commodities or labor. This surplus value of money appears all the more important if one considers the nature of the decision to which this power of choice leads in reality. It has been asserted that a commodity that is limited in quantity and has alternative uses will be valued by its owners with respect to its most important use. All other uses will appear uneconomic and unreasonable. On the other hand, a supply of goods that is sufficient or more than sufficient for all possible uses, so that the goods compete to be used, will be valued according to its least important use. The most important use becomes the measure of the object if there are competing uses. This is most fully and effectively demonstrated by money. Since money can be used for any economic purpose, a given amount of it can be used to satisfy the most important subjective need for the moment. The choice is not limited, as is the case with all other commodities, and, because human desires know no limit, a great variety of possible uses is always competing for any given quantity of money. Since the decision will always be in favor of the good that is desired most intensely, money must be valued at any moment as equivalent to the most important interest experienced at that moment. A supply of wood or a building plot that is adequate only for one of several desired uses, and which is therefore valued according to the most valuable of those uses, cannot have a significance beyond the region of things of its own kind. Money, however, has no such limitation, and so its value corresponds with the most important universal interest of the individual that can be satisfied with the available supply. The opportunity of choice which money as an abstract instrument provides applies not only to the goods offered at any one time, but also to the date when it can be used. The value of a commodity is not determined simply by its practical significance at the moment of its use. The relative freedom of choice in timing the use is a factor that can increase or diminish considerably the value placed upon the commodity. The first of these possibilities of choice results from the coexistence of different uses, the second from the existence of alternative uses over time. Other things being equal, that commodity is more valuable which I can but do not have to use immediately. The range of commodities falls into a graduated series of values between two extremes. At one end is the commodity that can be enjoyed later but not now. If, for example, fish caught during the summer is exchanged for furs that are going to be worn in the winter, then the value of the fish is increased by the fact that I can consume it immediately, whereas the value of the furs is affected by the fact that the delay in using them involves the risk of damage, loss, or devaluation. On the other hand, the value of the fish is diminished because it will no longer be fresh tomorrow, and the value of the furs is increased because they will still be serviceable at a later date. An object used as a means of exchange is most suitable for money if it possesses both of these value-enhancing qualities. Money as a pure instrument represents their highest possible synthesis because it has no specific quality for a specific use, but is only a tool for acquiring concrete values, and because the opportunities for using it are just as great at any point of time and for any object.